Namaskar, hello and a very warm welcome to this online training on multimedia resources for teaching, learning and assessment. It's a 5-day training going on. My name is Tanvi Khurana and today is the day 3 of this training. Today's topic is curation of multimedia resources for education. So far we have already discussed the need, the scope and the content of multimedia resources and also what are its types. So day 1 and day 2 we discussed all of this. If you have not watched those sessions, then please watch it on NCERT Official, that is our YouTube channel. Let me tell you, if you have any questions, any queries, then please call us on our number, which is 8800440559. And as you all know that every month, the last week, we reserve it for this online training on the areas related to educational technology and also ICT in education. And this week is all dedicated to multimedia resources. And 4 to 5 every day, we are here with this training. On the last day, that is 26th of August, we'll come here with the quiz and the quiz link will be given to you. If you have not registered yourself by now, then please do it. And if you have not watched the earlier 2 sessions, please watch them. And on 26th at 5 o'clock, we'll be giving you the link and you can take that quiz and you'll get a certificate if you clear it with the concerned marks. Let me show you how you can register yourself. If you'll see, just type CIET on your Google and this is the website you'll get. On this website, these are the options given. If you can see, the 5th option is home, events. The third last option is workshop/training. If you'll click here, this is the website you'll got. Scroll it down and this is the current activity, 22nd August to 26th August, multimedia resources for teaching, learning and assessment. Click here. This is everything about this online training. The entire schedule is given. The details are mentioned here. Everything is mentioned and how to participate. This is the link given and the QR code is also mentioned here. And here is the playlist link where the earlier 2 sessions have been uploaded. So you can simply click here and watch the earlier sessions. The link of the quiz will be updated here on the last day, which is 26th of August. So do not miss it. And if you have any more queries, then you can simply share them on our email ID, which is training.helpdesk@ciet.nic.in. So everything is mentioned over here, and for today's program, if you have any questions, any queries, then you can write it down in the chat box of our YouTube channel, again NCERT Official, and we'll be taking your questions towards the end of this program. We have an expert with us in our studio and he'll be talking everything about the curation of multimedia resources for education. So let me introduce him to all of you. He is Dr. Mohammad Mamoor Ali. A very warm welcome to you, sir.
Thank you. Namaskar.
Sir is an assistant professor from Department of Teacher Training and Non-Formal Education, IASE, Faculty of Education, Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. So I have introduced sir and I've got a lot of questions to ask sir. So let's begin with the first question, and which is so far we've already discussed a couple of things regarding multimedia resources. What is the curation of e-resources that we are going to discuss in this program, or what exactly is the focus of today's program?
Okay. First of all, we should be clear that this curation process is not new thing. And nowadays everyone means in every sector we are using this curation process. But for today's session, or for this particular session, we should be very clear that we will discuss this curation process with the perspective of educational, you can say, or teacher's perspective, or the person who is associated with the education process. So why this curation is required for a teacher or a learner, or any person who is associated with the education process. I would like to discuss first, before coming to the meaning of curation, that what is the scenario of education or educational process where we need such kind of processes or curation particularly. So if you see the slides, I have tried myself to imagine a scenario of a school, and particularly in the context of learner-centered pedagogy. because after 2005, NCF 2005 particularly, we are focusing upon learner-centered pedagogy, and we say that everything should be concerned with the learners, and learners should be at the center. And that is why, if you see the slide, you will see that there are 4 major components, and at the center it is learner, which I think everyone understand that we are talking about learner-centered pedagogy. And out of these major components, if you think that these are the major components, the very important point here is educational resources, which we are trying to focus today. And when we say educational resources, in face-to-face mode, it is obvious to understand for everyone that we have in school education textbooks, like NCERT textbooks are there in the schools, and some other reading materials in the form of you can say books which are there for further readings, or you can say reference books, or any other kind of material which can be referred by a teacher. So if you think upon that, if we are entering into the digital era where we are using ICT or integrating ICT, or even after COVID, we have realized and experienced the online scenario, online education, online learning process. So it is very easy to understand that we have educational resources in digital format. Like if you see the next slide, you will see that the difference between the mode. When you are in face-to-face mode, you are talking about the textbooks in you can say physical format, like NCERT textbooks, printed books, then other printed material. But when you think about the ICT or digital technologies, then you may think upon the e-resources. Again, these e-resources are having various formats. Even the textbooks which are developed by NCERT are available in e-copy, or you can say e-format. So nowadays it is not very difficult to understand that how these resources are available. The point is that how to use these resources in our teaching learning process. So coming to the point which we are going to understand today, that what is curation and why it is important. Again, one important aspect I would like to mention here, as a teacher, what you are doing in the classroom is to be analyzed first before coming to the understanding of curation. So as a teacher, I visualize that teacher should, or teacher may be doing all these major functions, you can say, or these are the major tasks. Like teacher is doing planning before coming to the classroom. Teacher is accessing, means searching and locating the resources which he or she can use for teaching learning purpose in the classroom. Sometime if it is not there, if it is not available, or not he or she is not able to find, then he or she will try to create. So here, though there are so many other processes, but my focus is, if teacher's task is to create or to access e-resources for the purpose of teaching learning, what he or she can do. So curation is the point here. A good teacher, a quality teacher, tries to curate the information or the content for better learning process. How to curate, that we have to discuss today. And there are some basic understanding which a teacher or as a learner should have. Like for example, if I go to the next slide and will try to make you understand that what is the meaning of curation. First of all, it is used by everyone, as I mentioned in the beginning, that it is not a new thing. In older days, or you can say in previous years, the libraries or librarians were using this process for their libraries, that they were curating the resources to share with the teachers and with the students or other stakeholders. But nowadays, as we know that internet and media is a storehouse, this information is you can say increasing day by day, and as a teacher it is not only to learn, but learning how to learn is the important point here. And that is why teacher should also, or as well as a student should also learn how to curate the learning content as well as information. And this, if you go to the meaning of the curation of content, it is not very difficult, it is very easy, and we refer to the three processes. The very first is that you have to find or locate or explore the content where it is. Then you have to organize in a meaningful way, and then lastly you have to share. So if I go by the definition, it is the act of discovering, gathering and presenting the best digital content on the subject specific matter, means on a particular content in a meaningful way and organized way. And we can also say that this is an art and as well as science of finding and sharing quality content on a particular topic. So if I interpret it in the steps, it will have only major 3 steps. Somehow if you go to Google or some other, you can say, place where you are finding the meaning of curation, you may find some other steps also, but major 3 steps are there in curation. First is finding or exploring the quality or the relevant content on a particular topic. Then you have to organize it in a meaningful way, and then lastly you have to share with the stakeholders. If I go one by one, step by step, the very first step is that how to find, how to locate or how to explore these content as well as information. So there are various ways. As we know that sometimes we know the exact location, exact you can say address of that particular resource where it is, then there is you can say not very difficult to find it. You go directly to that particular website or web page, use any particular browser, type the address and then go to that particular site. But sometimes it is not very easy to locate or to say that this is the location, this is the exact location. Then you have to have some kind of tool which is nowadays known as search engine, and the very first very famous search engine is Google. So there are 2 ways of finding the resources. The very first one is, if you know the address, if you know the location, go to that particular site. If you don't know the location, use any search engine like Google. Now there are some examples, like for example, there are some dedicated platforms or websites which are known as repositories for resources. And when we say resources, there are some classification also, and nowadays we are talking much about OERs, open educational resources. So these repositories which are dedicated for hosting or for having these kind of resources or content are known as repositories for OERs, open educational resources. For example, if you talk about the school education, the very famous you can say repository was I will say, is still there, but maybe some technical glitches are there. NROER, National Repository of Open Educational Resources, and ePathshala is very much famous, which is having content or resources based upon the school curriculum. NCERT textbooks are also available there. You can download, you can access all these e-copies of NCERT textbooks on ePathshala. As well as if you talk about the Diksha is a platform for teachers, as a single platform for all the solutions for teachers. And you can get all the type of, you can say all type of resources related to teacher education or teachers on that particular portal, Diksha. Similarly, you are having portals or websites or repositories, you can say, for higher education, like NPTEL is having one website there, they have these kind of resources for higher education. Similarly, there are various other you can say websites which can be used for searching, finding, or you can say exploring these e-resources which can be useful for teachers or students in their learning process. If you see this slide, you will see that there are some other types of resources, like you can go to some platforms which are dedicated for online courses. Like Swam is there, very much famous nowadays, because this platform Swam is having online courses for school education as well as higher education, and their courses are mapped with the curriculum. Like for example, we are having online courses, you can say MOOCs, massive open online courses for school education starting from class 11th for almost all the subjects excluding languages. Like we have courses on physics, chemistry, biology, accountancy, and other subjects. So that means what we are teaching in the classroom in the schools can also be learned on online through online courses on these platforms like Swam. Similarly, there are other platforms which are there. You can see edX, Coursera, FutureLearn, and so many other platforms which are hosting online courses, and they have the content. The point is here that if you want to have mapped resources, means you need some particular type of resource for a particular topic, you can also use or try to explore resources on these platforms where online courses are running. Similarly, there are other websites which are known as video hosting sites or video streaming sites like YouTube. You can go to YouTube and you can search resources. Even if you need some specific resource which is a kind of, you can say, curated already or mapped already with the curriculum, you can try to go to NCERT official channel. There you can see the playlist and you can search the resources as per your interest. Similarly, if you, as I mentioned earlier, that if you don't know the location, then you can use search engine. So if you want to use search engine, then you can use Google. And if you go to Google, you can search the resources in various formats. Like you can search texts, you can search images, you can search videos. And in all these three formats, there are some options where you can think upon that whether this particular resource is open means OER category, or it is some kind of proprietary, means someone is having the license of that particular resource. So it is also very important for teachers as well as for learners that you should try to explore only OERs. Don't go for the licensed or the proprietary things. So if you want to search or explore OERs, there are some ways again. Like for example, if I go to Google and I want to search text which are there under OERs licenses, then there is an option. Like for example, if I go to search first before going to Google, if I see or if I want to locate that where it is, all these whatever I have discussed till now, that these are the websites. So just for your you can say easiness, I have tried to show you some kind of, you can say, home pages of these websites. So this is the screen of the home page of ePathshala. If you go to any, you can say, web browser and type ePathshala.gov or .nic.in, you can have this this website, and this will be the first page of this website. So just for your easiness, if you want to go to these websites, you can easily go there. Similarly, this is the home page of OER Commons. This is again one of the website, or you can say platform, as well as it is also known as repository where open educational resources are hosted. So if you want to go there, you can type oercommons.org and you will get this first page as a home page, and you can search resources there. Similarly, you can try to the Swam. As I mentioned, that there are some websites which can be used for searching e-content which are there in online courses. So this swam.gov.in is having courses which are run by NCERT as well as NIOS for school education particularly, and there are some other partners for higher education. Then there is a website, National Digital Library, NDL in short. You can also use this website for exploring the resources related to school education as well as higher education. So this is also very important website where you can easily access the resources. Then if you go to YouTube, again as I mentioned, you can go to any, you can say, video, but if you want to have mapped resources as well as you are searching OERs, this is the easiest way to find. Then you can go to NCERT official channel or any other official channel of institutions which are using, or you can say creating, these kind of resources and hosting. So this is all about the resources that where you can find out. Now if I come to back to Google, that if you want to search resources on Google, then what you can do. So suppose if you want to search text on Google, then you directly go to the search option and then type, like for example, if you type open educational resources itself as a title, or you can say theme to search the content, then you can type open educational resources, and whenever you will click there, you will get all the links related to this open educational resources. But this type of searching, you will get all types of resources, means there may be OERs and there may not be OERs. So how to filter the resources which are published under OERs licenses. So there is an option there. If you want to search OERs based, or you can say OER licensed based resources, then you have to go to advanced search. And if you see the screen, there is an option of advanced search. Just click on advanced search, you will get the next page, where at the last you can say at the end of the page, you will get the option for selecting the license type. And in this particular you can say choice, you will get 5 options there, and the last option is the most liberal option you can use as a OER. So just check or click on the last option, you will get the resources which are under published under OERs licenses, though others also called as OER licenses, but the last one is the most liberal. So in this way you can go to the Google and search OER resources as a text. Similarly, there are some other things which you have to understand when you are understanding the curation process. As I mentioned in the, you can say, earlier slides, that there are 3 major or 3 important steps. First is exploring or finding the resources. After that you have to organize. You have to organize these resources in a meaningful way, and that is the main crux of this curation process. So how to do that? There are 2 major ways. There are so many other ways also, but for the time being, for your understanding, there are 2 major steps here. First is that you can do this bookmarking in a browser, and then you can arrange the resources there. Similar to that, like for example, if you have the content, you like in any operating system like Windows, you have files, you want to organize the files, so you create the folders and you arrange your files in the folder. Similar way here also we can do the same thing, that we can create bookmarking, means we can create bookmarks and then we can arrange in folders. So for this purpose, again you have to have some kind of you can say browser like Google Chrome or any other. So again I want to show you some of the steps here, how to do it, how to do browsing and how to manage resources in or you can say categorize or organize the resources in this way. So if you see the slide again, you will get the next you can say process. Like for example, I was searching some resources related to ICT and curriculum, school curriculum and the ICT. So whenever I search resources in this particular you can say Google for this particular topic, I found ICT curriculum website. So I want to show or I want to share this website or this you can say content with my students. First of all, I should mention here that as a teacher, when I'm doing this activity, I have some kind of objectives in my mind. Like for example, I am teaching MA education, one of the course ICT in education, and I want to share some resources related to this paper with my students. So I want to first organize the resources or content somewhere, and then I want to share. So how to organize? So for that purpose, I tried to first explore. So I tried Google to search one of the topic, place, or you can say role of ICT in school curriculum, and I found one of the website ictcurriculum.gov.in, where this curriculum is mentioned, which is very much known, maybe all of you, that this ICT curriculum for teachers and students is there to understand what is ICT and how to use ICT in teaching learning process. So I have bookmarked this particular website, and if you see the screen, you will see that there is a option in this particular, you can say, browser, that you can click on bookmark. At the right side upper corner, you will see that there are some options where you can see the bookmarking, and whenever you will click that particular option, that bookmark, you will get the next you can say option, that where you want to save it. So if you have used earlier also, you will have some kind of folders there, and in my case, I have already created one of the folder named as MA Education for ICT, and I saved this you can say bookmark as a one of the resource there in this particular folder. So this resource or this particular website link is saved in my folder as a bookmark. In this way, I can create you can say folder named with some kind of title I have given, and I can share the I can organize my resources there in the folder as a bookmark. In this way, I can do this option, you can say, process of organizing the content with the help of bookmarking in a web browser. The second way of doing, or you can say, organizing the content or resources is social bookmarking. If you see the next slide, there are different you can say again websites which can be used for this purpose, and there are so many. If you go to Google and search that what are the websites or you can say tools for social bookmarking, there is a long list. I have just tried to give you or to share with you few names which are very famous, and most of the people or most of the teachers as well as other stakeholders are using these websites, like Pinterest, very much famous nowadays, Digo and Scoop.it. Just for your understanding, I have tried to show you some of the, you can say, screenshots which I will show now on these two websites, Pinterest and Digo. If you go to the next slide, you will see that there is a home page of Digo website, and this Digo website is very easy to work also, and you can do two things together. One is you can organize the content, as well as you can share the content with the students or with the stakeholders. So how to do it? Again, you have to see the steps. Like for example, first of all, to use this website, you have to have your user ID and password. For that purpose, you have to register first, and then you have to log in with the user ID and password. So suppose I have already logged in because I have used this means I have registered on this website and I have user ID password. So I have logged in with my user ID and password. After login, you will get this first page where you have some options. Like the very first option is My Library. My Library means you have all the resources which you have explored, or you can say located, and you have bookmark here, means you have saved here. So all the resources which are already saved will be visible to the person who is using here, and then you can also explore, as well as you can also save some other resources, new resources. For that purpose, you have to click on the plus sign. Right now, because I am showing a screenshot, so it is not possible to click on this, but if you will click on this plus sign, you will get the next, you can say, slide where you can create, like for example, you can do bookmarking. So if you want to do bookmarking here, you can click on the first option and then you can go ahead. Like for example, whenever I will click on this, I will get some other website web page, but before coming to that, there are some options which should be known first, that how many types of resources can be saved here or bookmarked here. So first of all, you can bookmark, or you can say, means you can save the web pages, then you can save the images, you can save PDF also. The third option is PDF, and then last is you can also do commenting, or you can say write something as a comment. So these are the 4 options here, as a you can say organizing, as well as the things which are there in my library, as well as bookmarking. Like why I have done 2 things here. I have shared, or you can say saved video tutorials on Digo. If suppose someone want to learn how to use Digo website for this particular purpose, he or she can go to this particular link and click on this and can get the complete detail that how to use it. Similarly, I have also shared the link of Pinterest, that how to use this Pinterest website. So if you want to learn how to use Pinterest, you can also click on the second option and you can get the detail again for using or for learning how to use Pinterest. And then if suppose I want to share this resource with my students after doing all these things, means after saving or after organizing all the content, all the resources, now the second option is how to share. How to share my resources or my these you can say information which I gathered and organized to my students. So the another aspect, or you can say step here, is that I can create groups. Groups means I can add my students here with my this particular account. So for that purpose you can create groups, and I have already created for your reference that there is a group named as MAED3 ICT. The meaning here is that this particular group is for students who are studying ICT as a course in MA education. So these you can say groups can be used as a group for students for a particular course, and you can ask or you can invite you can say students to join this particular group, and then they will be able to see all these resources whatever you have saved or bookmarked here. So if I click on this particular group, you will get whatever I have done as a posting, or you can say hosting the resources, as well as I have invited the students. So whoever is joined here as a student will be able to see that there are 2 resources there, 2 activities there. One is that there is a link of one of the resource, ICT in education, and this is the curriculum which I mentioned earlier, that I got this website and this is the curriculum for students and teachers, named as ICT curriculum for student and teachers. So I thought that my students of MA education who are enrolled in MA education and studying this ICT in education course should be aware that what is the curriculum for student and teachers, means what is there in this particular curriculum. So I want to give this particular resource to my students so that they can go through. Similarly, I want to engage my students in some kind of activity of reflection. So I have created a post, the another you can see the second option where it is written place of ICT in a school curriculum. This is a kind of post where students can go to this post and then comment. They can share their ideas, whatever they have learned from this particular document, and then they can start discussion, and this particular discussion will lead them to a kind of learning process, means they can learn through this particular discussion. So this is the way where I can create I can explore the resources, I can organize the resources in a particular way, and then I can share the resources with my students and other stakeholders for the learning purpose. So this curation process is very much helpful for the teachers as well as for the learners if they want to learn and they want to use such kind of, you can say, way where they are having a lot of resources. No need to download, no need to you can say go to proprietary things, just go to the open educational resources, go to the links, just save the links or bookmark the link and then share with the stakeholders. So this is the very easy way to learn as well as to use these things in teaching learning process. Another point is that if you want to use some other resources for this curation process, like for example, if I go to YouTube particularly, because nowadays teachers as well as students are very much using YouTube for other purposes, but for educational purpose, if I want to use YouTube, I can use. How to use and what kind of purpose I can achieve from using YouTube's kind of things, that I can create the playlist. Suppose I have as a teacher I am using one of my YouTube channel where I am searching the resources which are OERs, means published under OER licenses, and I have created playlist as per the need of the students. Like for example, if I take example of this particular course, as I mentioned earlier, ICT in Education course for MA Education, so I can create a playlist named ICT for MA Education. Then I can save or bookmark or you can say link all the resources which are there relevant to this particular course in my YouTube channel, and then I can share this particular, you can say, YouTube channel with my students, that they can follow me there and they can use all the resources there. Similarly, Tutor is also nowadays very much used for this purpose. Like for example, we are having account on Tutor, but we are using only for either entertainment purpose or information on different aspects. But we can also use for educational purpose. As a teacher, if I have an account on Tutor, I can again bookmark there. There is an option on Tutor for bookmarking, for you can say list, and then you can also create such kind of post. Like for example, if you want to engage your students in some kind of discussion or a particular topic and you want to share some resources to read and then discuss, so you can do two things. First, you can create you can say a list of resources, you can bookmark, and then you can create a post where you can ask the students to go through first these resources which are bookmarked there and then comment as a post and then start the discussion. So these ways there are you can say different options in front of you as a teacher or as a learner, that you can use social web sites like Twitter or any other, and you can do these kind of things for your teaching learning purpose. I hope that this much is for my side first to introduce the topic. Now if the questions are there, that will be easy to further reflect on the things.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, sir. And just now, a couple of minutes ago, you said that there's no need to download. Yes. Open resources are there, so all they have to do, all the teachers they have to do, just click on them, use it online itself. They don't have to download it, and they can show it to their stakeholders. So regarding that only, we have a question from one of our viewers, and she's Sangeeta. Sangeeta is asking, can we download the required topics and show it to the students, because she has to show it on the school's smart board?
Yes, as I mentioned earlier that we have two types of resources. Yes. One is that the resource is published under some kind of license which is a kind of property of someone. So if it is property of someone, you cannot download. Either you have to take permission from the person or you have to search OERs. means open educational resources, and there are some licenses. If I talk about these licenses, these are famously known as Creative Commons licenses, and there are mainly 6 licenses. Nowadays we say 7 licenses, but most of the time we talk about 6 licenses. I am not going to give you the details because it will take another 30 minutes, or you can say more time. Just to give you idea that you can go to creativecommons.org as a website and see these are the license, the details of licenses are there, and the idea is that if some resource is published under some of the license, either CC by SA or CC by you can say NCND, you can download as well as you can share with others. The conditions are there with the licenses. Like for example, if you use the resource which is published or you can say declared under CC by NC. So the condition is that first of all you have to acknowledge the first author, means who has developed this particular resource, and the second is you will not be using this resource for any commercial purpose. So similarly, the other licenses are having some other conditions. So my point is for you that you should go for OER based resources so that you can download and you can share with your students. So it will be easy for you to download.
Okay, so that's a great advice, sir. Thank you so much. I'm sure, Sangeeta, you have got your answer you were looking forward to. So we've got some time and we've got a lot of queries, and let's ask another queries, and this is by one of our viewer, and she's asking that in Diego or the Pinterest, the platforms you mentioned in here, because to create a library when you were using the bookmarks there, and do we have to sign in or can we use it without signing in?
See, whenever some website you are using, most of the time, almost all the time, I will say, these websites want to know who is using our resource or our service. For that purpose, they need registration. Like for example, even in the sites which are developed or designed by the institutions, government institutions or organizations, they also do this kind of practice to know who is using my service or my website. So there is no harm in registration or in login, means you can give your information that you are, who are you, and then you can create, means you can create account by giving some basic information, and then you can use the resources or services there. So it is true that websites need registration to know who is using.
So basically that is necessary and mandatory as well.
It's not necessary or mandatory, but it is usually done by almost all the websites, but I cannot say that whether it is mandatory or it is compulsory, but it is a practice to know the user, that who is using my service or resource.
Okay, all right. Let's ask another question, and this question is by Mohammed Amin Dar, and he's asking, sir, please tell me, is there any special e-content or any special link where elementary level multimedia is available, and how to use such material at elementary level?
Okay. First of all, whatever sites I have mentioned during my presentation, like ePathshala or NDL, or the websites which are designed by some institutions, means like for example NCERT website also, as well as NIOS website also, who are these organizations are working in the field of school education. They have resources for all the levels, starting from primary to secondary and senior secondary. So you can go to the websites of NCERT as well as NIOS as well as ePathshala and NDL, and you can use filters there to search the resources. Like for example, if you go to ePathshala, you can use filters like stages, elementary, primary, secondary or senior secondary. Then you can also use filter for subjects, mathematics, science, social science and others. So there are filters which can give you idea that where it is, the resource which you are searching. So all the resources related to elementary or primary are there on these websites. And I think we should, as a teacher, if you are a teacher, you should go for these websites, because these websites are hosting mapped resources. Though you can also go to Google or some other search engine, but their resources are not mapped. The major difference between the search engine like Google or these websites which are hosting such kind of material resources is that these websites, which are known as repositories or institutional websites, these are having mapped resources, so you can directly go to the resource which are relevant for your topic, for a particular class, for a particular subject. So it will be easy for you. So okay. I think you will be benefited by this.
Absolutely. This was a great information. I'm sure you're going to use these resources for all the levels that are required. So we have another question, and this is by one of our viewers, and he is Dhananjay Kumar Yadav. He's saying, my question is that please tell me about any application which can be used for class 6 to 8 for conducting quizzes and short type questions.
Okay, there are two aspects of your question. One is the level 6, 7, 8. For that, I will say that there is no such kind of demarcation when you say that you want to use quiz for 6 or 7 or 8. Do you think that this will be different? Means quiz will be different for 6, 7, 8 and 1, 2, 3? No. Quiz means you are going to create some kind of questions. So there are websites, there are software which can be used for creating quiz. Like for example, one of the software which is very much famous also, Hot Potato. Even you can use Google form for such kind of, you can say, items creation, as well as you can use quizzes. And there are, if you go to Google and type that what are the websites free and you can say free websites to create such kind of quiz or assessment items, you will get a lot of you can say links or name of the websites. So use free first. The second is that if you go to use software, use free and open source software, which is nowadays known as FOSS in short. As I give one of the name example, Hot Potato, it is free software. You can use this, as well as you can use some websites like SurveyMonkey, and then this Mentimeter, and you can also use Quiz, and there are so many others. So if you go to these websites, you will be easily use these websites for creating such items. And for specifically 6, 7, 8, there is no such kind of, you can say, demarcation. You can create quiz for any class.
All right. This question was raised by not just one person but multiple viewers, so I'm sure they have got the answer. And sir, we don't have much time left, so let's just take one quick last question and then we'll wrap up this conversation. We have this question by Khatuja Sultana, and she is asking, could you please highlight on MOOCs and Swayam Prabha for high school students to teach English, and how can I use them?
If you have listened to me during my presentation, I mentioned that Swayam is hosting online courses starting from class 11 to higher education, and NCERT and NIOS is creating these online courses, these MOOCs for school education. NCERT has created I think more than 30 or 35 courses, these MOOCs, for different subjects, but languages till now there is in my knowledge, as per my knowledge, there is no course on languages like English or Urdu or Urdu. Some of the courses are there for teachers professional development, but for classes like 11th or 12th there is no course. If you want to search for other subjects like physics, chemistry, yes, there are courses, and you can do two things. If you want to use these courses for your school, means classroom teaching, you can ask your students to enroll there. they can go to these resources which are there in the form of text as well as videos, and they can come back in the class with the readings they have gone through, they have watched the video, and then that will be a kind of, you can say, facilitation for the learning process in the classroom, that they have already go through the materials and they are already informed, you can say, learned something from these resources, and they are discussing with you in the classroom. So a good or healthy discussion will be there in the classroom if they are already having enrolled or you can say gone through these resources on MOOCs.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for telling us all about how to create the e-resources and how is it beneficial for all the teachers. And there's no need to download it. They can easily operate it online, and it's going to be very helpful for all the stakeholders. Thank you so much for being with us today, sir, and answering the questions of our viewers.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you to all the viewers. Once again, let me tell you, I'm sure you have a lot of queries, a lot of questions, and because of the time constraint, we can't take all the questions. But I would request you to please register yourself for this online training and watch the videos which we have already uploaded in the playlist. And the playlist link is there on the ciet.nic.in, and it's also being flashed on your screens. So if you'll just Google it, CIET, here one of the options is events. The third last option is workshop/training. And if you'll scroll it further, here you can see this current activity, which is our online training on multimedia resources for teaching, learning and assessment. This is everything about this entire online training, the schedule, the participation link. So register yourself. This is a very important step. Register yourself here, or you can either scan this code, and this is the playlist link. If you'll click here, you will watch the earlier, day after, day before yesterday, both the sessions and even today's session. So everything is available here, and the quiz link will be updated here on Friday, that is 26th of August. So all you need to do is watch these sessions so that you can score good marks in the quiz, and you'll also get the certificate. So that's all about this particular program. Tomorrow again we'll come back sharp at 4 o'clock with the day 4 of our online training, and we'll discuss another topic on multimedia resources. For now we're wrapping up. Please take great care of yourself. Upcoming, our next program is Sayog, Guidance for Mental Well-being of the Children. Thank you so much once again. Namaskar.